Okay, my name is Vessna Perunovich. I am born and raised in Yugoslavia, which is a country that no longer exists. My hometown is Belgrade, which is current state of Serbia, Republic of Serbia. I obtained my bachelor and my master's degree at the Faculty of Fine Arts in Belgrade in 1987, and then very quickly after that I moved in 1988 I moved to Canada, to Toronto, because in my country we were experiencing some political struggles, and it was very not a pleasant situation, and I had a young family, so me and my husband, we decided to move to Canada, to Toronto, where I now live and work. From 2010 to 2011, I started coming back to Serbia and having shows, exhibitions there too. So now I consider both Serbia, actually Belgrade, and Toronto as my home base cities, and I work in both environments equally. My practice is very much informed with this experience of displacement, of cultural displacement, and my immigration to Canada, and it remains to be so throughout these 36 years of my artistic practice. In this realm, I explore the themes of home, displacement, the subjects of transition, boundaries, belonging, and identity mostly. I also deal with other subjects in my work, but these are subjects that are at the core of my artistic practice. And my artistic practice, I was trained as a painter in that classical medium, but when I moved to Canada, I started experimenting with other materials, mediums, because the environment was totally completely different, and socially, and you know, it was something that my paintings would not really fit the way I kind of express myself in that medium, was no longer efficient. And so I started doing combining different objects, found objects, and different materials like fabric and nylons, and started creating work that is completely experimental and more in the medium of sculpture, installation, and then later on I added other mediums, so the practice became more and more complex. And but I think all of these mediums usually kind of have a dialogue in between them, and they're also conceptualized around one idea, one topic, and they're presented in the gallery settings as an interdisciplinary installation. For my work, it's also very important that I go to artistic residencies, international residencies around the world. I've been to more than a dozen of these residencies, anywhere from New York and Banff, Berlin, China, Malta, and all of these places that are culturally different are very inspiring for my work, because in that situation I place myself as a foreigner, and then I try to adapt to this new culture for that short period of time, and I try to actually create work that has something to do with my personal experiences in that new place, but also responds to that diverse environment, something that I never experienced before. And usually the work that is created at the end of that has something to do with both things, kind of merges these two experiences. I also, I think it's important to say that I exhibited extensively both in Canada and abroad. I exhibited in South America, North America, in Europe, in Asia, and I often, as I mentioned earlier, go to the Western Balkans, where I'm originally from, and exhibit in all these countries more and more often. I get projects there, and the most recent project that was initiated by European Union called Risk Change was lasted from 2016 to 2020. It was an international project that was done in that region. Okay, so the work that is on exhibit as part of Fortitude Fragile is entitled Cradle. And this work originates from 2004, when it was originally created for another exhibition at Kitchener-Waterloo Art Gallery, significant series exhibition. And it was a little bit differently configured, and it was inspired and informed by this experience of breakup of my home country of Yugoslavia in early 90s, and also bombing that was conducted by NATO in 1999 to Belgrade. Belgrade, my home city, was bombed, and in that time, like that, just sheer loss of life and you know the violence that was perpetuated at that time just inspired this piece and this you know the question about the value of human life and how we approach that with constant wars and conflicts, and how we deal with that. You know, how is human life so low valued that it can be destroyed so quickly. So that was one of the main inspirations, and now the work is reimagined a little bit for this exhibition, and actually was part of my retrospective exhibition in 2023 at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Belgrade, and that is when I actually added a new element, a new video for that piece, and in this form is now presented here as part of Fortitude Fragile. For Cradle is like I often work with opposites, with dualities in my work, like is in terms of materials that I use, also in terms of concepts, and this work is no exception. It's the same approach. I combine different materials in this work. In Cradle, there is a play between moving images, so film. There are two video projections, and also they interact with sculptural installation that is made out of found objects and some constructs that are made by myself. So all these elements in themselves, they have inherent the quality of duality. They have dual presence in a way. There goes for the big video projection of flames that is placed behind the object of Cradle, and also for the other video that is involved in this, that is included in installation of the little girl dancing for joy or jumping for joy in the Cradle. It is much like the one that is a real object in the installation. So I mean, this piece is I would say it's not so. It enticed the viewer, so the flames and all that is happening, that's the whole tableau, draws people inside of the installation, so that it, in a sense, my goal was to create a space where they can contemplate and meditate on these questions about creation and destruction, which are the main kind of topic of this work. And it's not that the work is answering any of these questions. It just kind of makes you wonder and think about, again, the value of human life, you know, and from a pure, like my personal experience, from a perspective of a motherhood, because I raised my daughter, and also now I'm helping to raise my granddaughter, is that just I was always, you know, fascinated by this disparity of how much time you, as a human being, you involved in supporting and nurturing human life, and to bring life to maturity, like to bring a little kid to a mature person, it takes like 18-20 years, you know, and this same life can be destroyed in the times of conflict in a matter of seconds. It can be annulled. So that is always, as being a mother, that is always something that puzzles me, that, you know, perplexes me, and I'm just wondering how we as a society, as humankind, can be so careless about, you know, preserving human life and supporting it, and, you know, just giving it bigger value, like something that is you know, somehow that can be preserved and not destroyed in such fashion as it is. And I mean, the piece was current then. When I made it in 2004, it was specifically informed by conflict in Yugoslavia, but now it's even more current with all the conflict and wars that we are witnessing, like the war in Ukraine, like horrible destruction in Gaza, and massive loss of life, and mostly, I mean, young life, kids and children, and wars around the world. Like, just, it seems like they're never ending, never stopping. So I think that the installation, in a poetic way, asks all of these questions. Yeah, when you look at the installation, it is a very simple and straightforward installation, and in the middle of that space you have an object that is found, object of a cradle, and it's very bare. It's just stripped to its basic shape and form, and it's something that is a symbol. That's something that is familiar to everybody. Like, it's very universal as a symbol. We all can relate to what cradle is and what it does, you know, to human being. And it's something that is like almost like a nest that you shield the human life, and it is there for the first very important period of somebody's life, until 6 months or a year or 2 years, where, you know, all the love and support and nurturing is given to a person. And that is a universal symbol, universal feeling. But also, I mean, that structure is positioned in a way that, against those flames that are projected at the back, as something that potentially can be destroyed, again, very easily, and it's exposed to that danger of you know, bombing or just natural disasters or anything like that. So it can be cradle and human life that this symbolizes can be, again, destroyed. So this is a constant play between these two ideas, you know, that there is that safety, security that cradle defines, but it also it's been exposed so that it can be destroyed if we're not careful, if we go overboard, and if, of course, during conflicts and wars, and that's easily done. So the flame, the video, that video is as also the other materials in the installation hold, as I said before, that duality in themselves. So the way that the video footage is composed, the imagery is composed, is that they go in a cycle. So they start from this very gentle primordial flame, the first flame, which is actually invented. I mean, it's there to give warmth and safety and comfort, and to support human life. And then this flame slowly erupts into explosions, and these explosions then develop into a full-blown flame on the screen. And then these flames go backwards. They implode and go back to this gentle flame again. So there's a cycle of life, in a way, a cycle of birth and destruction in the imagery of that video in itself, you know. So it says two opposite things, you know. Flames can be very gentle, warm, supporting, and they're life-giving, and they can also, if we go overboard, if we misuse them like we did in you know, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the nuclear bombing, or if we're doing now, like you know, look at what nature also does, kind of in revenge to what we do to it, you know, in California fires or wars, like, as I mentioned, in Ukraine and in Gaza and Syria and in Afghanistan and you know, all over the world. So they can be destructive. So the flames have that. They, as I said, entice. They attract. They're seductive because they're beautiful. They're luxurious, and the color is very very enticing for the audience. So that has the role to draw people into this place, into this space of the installation, and the space of where the cradle is positioned, and then from that point to kind of get into more complex questions about the whole idea of the work, the whole concept, and what does it say. Yeah, so as I mentioned in the cradle piece, there are all these materials that are in themselves also have that dual qualities, and like the projections that I talked about, like the flames, and like this video of the girl jumping up and down and then falling and raising up, and also, you know, that cycle continues. Balloons, as well as ostrich feathers, they have this quality of being at the same time, you know, fragile and also somehow dangerous. I really hate the balloons popping. I hate that sound, and it reminds me of explosions. So the balloons are there to kind of, focus on that celebratory, resilient nature of us, and you know, that the way we celebrate life, but also they can be popping and deflating, and they, you know, it can be somehow also dangerous, but it also gives the installation that very dreamy, poetic feel, so that it creates that space that is somehow secure. You know, it's somehow gives you that feeling of security, safety, and celebration, I think. And ostrich feathers are also interesting because they are used in many different cultures, in many different societies, and back in time also in Egypt, like for many different things, and they hold symbolic meanings of being protective, but also they are there to ward off of the potential danger and harm. So they're very resilient as a material, but also very beautiful to look at, and the way they move and the way the feathers move. So, and they're also a symbol for purity. Yeah, so this video that is played on TV monitor is added later, as I said, when piece was reimagined. And I felt the need to add a personal element to the installation, because it's very universal. It's like a tableau of some kind. But the addition of this home movie, actually this is the home movie of my granddaughter, who is jumping for joy on her third birthday, and it's in a similar kind of construct as the cradle that was shown in the piece. So this adds that element of reality and personal experience of raising a child, and also gives that kind of feeling of joy and resilience and strength to the whole piece. It's kind of like the introductory piece, and it's also like a bookend to the whole installation, in a way. So yeah, so she's going through the cycle of jumping up for joy and then falling and rising again, which, you know, with the miracle of editing, you can do that, and so it's another constant cycle of life. Sure. Yeah, I am currently working on a touring exhibition. I had previously I had a couple of touring exhibitions. That one was in 2008, 2009, that toured across Canada, and then another one toured in Western Balkans in 2010 and 11. And now I have this new exhibition, which is called Home Paradigm: A New Place of Belonging, that revolves around the idea of home and displacement, again, my themes that are very close to my heart. And this exhibition was presented in 2023, as I mentioned, in the Museum of Contemporary Art in Belgrade for 4 months. And then now I got funding from the Canada Council touring, international touring and circulation grant to tour this exhibition to a couple of other countries in the region, and those are Croatia and Slovenia. They're part of European Union. So that will happen, in Slovenia will happen in 2025, this summer, and in Croatia it will be in 2026. And Cradle would probably be part of that exhibition, those two exhibitions. And also I'm working on another project which it will be part of biennial, International Biennial du Lin in Port-Neuf in Quebec. And that is for this schedule for this summer in June. And for that I'm creating a new work that I'm involving some materials that are fiber-based, and the work is inspired by vernacular architecture and also light, because the theme is dawn, so I'm responding to the theme of the biennial. So I would like just to say something about maybe the whole exhibition, how it came together. It was a long time in the making, and I'm just really fascinated reading Magda's text, Magda Gonzalez, who is a curator, her text about the artist and how diverse we all are, and how our identities are so diverse. But you know, bringing everybody together, it kind of makes sense that she's weaving this very delicate fabric of different identities and experiences around one subject, one concept that is very important at this point. You know, how we fight this global crisis, and how we approach it, and what are our methods as artists, and how we bring that forward, and also encourage people to also be resilient.